Want to achieve network marketing success? Then you're in the right company. Hello, and welcome to Leave Nothing to Chance, hosted by networking marketing giant John Solleder. Learn everything you need to know about the network marketing space from somebody who's actually done it. Join us every week for front row seats as we feature some of the finest and most successful personalities in network marketing. Leave nothing to chance. Join us now.
Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to the show, the Leaving Nothing to Chance show. It is my privilege to introduce Mel and Concetta Bibens from Florida. And man, they have put together some amazing systems that a number of companies in the industry are instituting, a number of lead distributors are instituting. And I guess we'll just start. Tell us about the new book.
So the new book is called The 7-Figure Network. And I want to start out by saying we are not forcing you to make 7 figures. If you want to make 7 figures, fantastic. We would love to support you in that, but we're not trying to force you into that. What we're trying to teach you is how to get yourself in a network where you can possibly earn 7 figures, because there's a lot of businesses involved. So everything we teach revolves around the one-to-many method of getting high impact enrollments that have a built-in audience of hundreds, if not thousands of customers. So instead of just doing one-to-one or the small house parties, now you're enrolling health, wellness, and other professionals that have a built-in audience of clients that actually need your product. That's the cornerstone of everything we teach.
So let's talk about that a little bit. So this is really a B2B type of marketing.
Exactly.
That a lot of us in the industry love to do and struggle with, because everybody knows, everybody's got their dentist, their chiropractor, their massage therapist, and you can talk to them. Mm-hmm. But what happens when you go beyond them to the guy that you don't know, or the woman that you don't know that's in any of those fields or any of the other various health professional fields? Talk about that. How have you guys been able to bridge that gap? Because you've done it very, very successfully and in a very interesting couple of ways. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. Honey, go ahead.
So John, honestly, in the beginning, it was really gathering a lot of information, really having the medical professionals, health professionals, the gyms, the fitness centers, the spas, the medi spas, really kind of dictate to us what was needed for them to be interested in bringing network marketing into their facilities. And so really it was marching the streets and doing the work and really understanding what obstacles were going to come in our way so that we would have systems in place for them to be able to feel comfortable and really good about taking the clinical, ethical approach and that a professional walk-in into their business and or their practice to be able to help them to see the fit of the network marketing products into the services that they were offering. So, it was a lot of legwork in the beginning. It didn't come easy right out of the gate, but the systems were derived from all of that legwork, and being able now to put it all on an existing platform for everybody to be able to use what we've learned over the years and really just fine tune it to a point where not only is it easier for the reps to go out and have those conversations with the professionals and show the vision of how this can fit into their customer or client base, but also to take it a little bit beyond that, where we simplified the process for the rep, being able to set up the practice or the business to be able to really market this freely by themselves, after the products were placed in the facilities.
I want to throw one thing in there. Concetta and I were both raised by parents who own businesses. So we're like entrepreneurial blood runs through us. So for us, it always came down to, because we were raised this way, you got to have a system if you want to be successful. Mm-hmm. And what we found was that, it's when we started with network marketing, we found out that, the system really revolved around, friends, families, social media, just kind of getting the word out there and hoping they might need your product or hoping they might need your opportunity, but not really knowing. And we feel like that's where a little of the discomfort, the trepidation, if you will, has come into this industry, which kind of slows people down from getting started fast enough and certainly makes them drop off quicker. Mm-hmm. So we kind of thought back to, what would our parents do? Our parents would look for a pool of customers who were already already buying a product that they needed, who were actually paying to be seen by an expert to recommend those products. So that's where we're thinking, okay, and I'm going to use doctor's office just because it's kind of easy. People pay to see their doctor. They sit in a waiting room for 50 minutes begging to get their appointment done. They walk in and they go, please help me. I have this problem. The doctor does a couple little things, writes a prescription, sends them down the road. That's the way it works. We determined that we were able to make that model work for network marketing. We were able to figure out a way to get network marketers so they could enroll those high impact enrollments, being doctors and business owners who had hundreds, if not thousands of built-in clients begging them for a solution. That was the epiphany. That was the bell that went off. Why would we want to deal with onesie twosies, meeting people at Starbucks when we can enroll one doctor that could have 100 people a day walking through the front door begging for a solution to a problem that your product can fix? That's the cornerstone of everything we do.
Well, it makes total sense, of course, because you're kind of, what's that old statement about, the mountain going to Muhammad or Muhammad going to the mountain, right? Which is easier,
Exactly.
Type of thing. So, since we've been talking for the year or so, we've been talking about, this conceptually on my end. It's like, it's a great idea. Let's talk about this, though. In this economy that we're in, right? The whatever we want to call it, the Biden economy in the United States, the Trudeau economy in Canada, because most of our audience is in either country. And everybody just said, that's it. I'm not listening to the show anymore. We're talking politics. We're not talking politics, folks. We're not getting into politics. Don't worry. But it is what it is. And even for those people in the medical profession,
mm-hmm.
Okay, whether they're a massage therapist, a chiropractor, an MD, hey, they're like the rest of us. They're paying $6 for gasoline here in the U.S. and $8 in Canada, and they're going to the food store and seeing the same thing. And they're seeing that, hey, I was seeing, like my chiropractor, he sees about 30 patients a week. Well, he hasn't jacked up what he's charging us, okay? But all of his costs of life have gone up. So the timing of this is really, really good, coinciding with these economies in both of these countries, right? And I'd love you guys to talk about this. And what have you seen with some of these, doctors where they've been able, maybe they're losing a few $1,000s per month in either patients that haven't come back after the pandemic, or customers where, hey, it's just gotten too expensive. I was going to the massage therapist twice a month. Now I'm going to go once because I just don't have the dough.
Exactly.
Okay, as an example. And we could use that, in any of these fields, of course. But talk about that a little bit. How has this helped some of these, folks in the health profession to kind of at least stay where they were without having to jack up their rates for the people who are coming on a regular basis?
Yeah. John, I love talking about this because those of us at a certain age know that the world is a sine wave. Everything comes and everything goes, and especially in the economy. And that was why we actually started doing the system 10 years ago, because that was when the insurance companies started clamping down on doctors. Doctors started making less money at that point. So even though the economy is in a crapper right now, and when we're all suffering like crazy, and I'm going to get to that point because that's actually part B. but part A is they've already been going through this. Doctors have been making less money for decades in a row now. So when Concetta and I started doing this and we were walking in, and we were door knockers. I mean, we're old school, man. We were knocking on doors, doing the whole 9 yards. We'd walk into a doctor's office. And again, I'm using doctor, but, think spa, gym, personal trainer, anything health related. But, we'd walk into a doctor's office and we'd see bottles on the shelf with dust on them. And it's like, okay, so somebody was smart enough or tricky enough or whatever enough to sell them that thing in the first place, but they didn't teach them how to make money from it. So now not only did the doctors spend money, but now they look bad because they got something sitting on their shelf with dust on it. Mm-hmm. So that just, I'll be in my, that aggravated the hell out of us. We're like, okay, somebody did half their job and now the end user is penalized for that. Unacceptable. So that was why we figured out we need to have a system in place. Again, I'm going to use the word system a million times during this interview. We needed to have a system in place that allowed the doctor to be able to monetize this product without taking time out of their day. That if there's a gold nugget that we're going to give out throughout this whole thing, guys, figure out how to take time off of the doctor's shoulders. Figure out how to give them their time back. They will never stop being your customer. You figure out a way to make them money and give them some time back on their schedule, you are going to be their superhero. So that's what systematizing does. And that's what made me think about this or us think about this in the first place, was that doctors were already starting to make less money. So we figured out we wanted to have a way to monetize them. Now let's look at today. Today, we've got transitioning professionals. We've got the gig economy. We've got pharma reps who are out of jobs. We've got men who've been in sales for 20 years now that have never looked at network marketing because it didn't have a system. So we think that now is the time for a system like that more than ever before, because network marketing, it's 95% women. And I'm not saying that because it's bad. I'm saying that it's not really right for the industry. There are so many talented men out there that should be in this industry, but they never joined because they didn't feel like there was a system in place for success. Now look at a transitioning professional. These people are used to making $100,000 a year. They don't want to go down to nothing. So we want to transition them into a system that allows them to start making good money again without completely breaking their paradigm of how work is operated.
Great. So I remember back many years ago, I was still living in New Jersey. And I won't mention the company name because I generally shy away from talking about companies on here unless it's in a historical reference. But it's a company that's still around today. Today, this company is a multi-billion-dollar company, and they started with a hair loss product, and here in the U.S. anyway. And there was a guy that I met, and he was a friend of a friend, and I met this guy, and he actually created a route sales process with hair salons, right? He would go in and then he had, 30 or 40 of them around Clifton, New Jersey, if people are familiar with that area of the country. And anyhow, you are, of course, you're like me, you're a Yankee. But anyhow, this fellow had gone around and he had built up to the point where he was servicing them, no different probably than, Paul Michel or some of the other companies with similar, shampoos and rinses and other kinds of hair care products. And he had taken that same model and he built a business with it, very successful. I mean, he was doing very, very well. That's what this kind of reminds me of is, hey, you know what? You got Dr. Jones on Main Street and you got Dr. Smith on the next street and you got Dr. whoever on the next street and you got the chiropractor there and you got the massage therapist and you've got the Pilates instructor and you've got the yoga school and you've got the little local gym like you and I grew up in, right? Not necessarily the big guys, because the big guys probably can't do this because they got their own brands, right? The Lifetimes and 24 hours and such. But the little guy, he's no different than those doctors. He's lost business the last year. And his gasoline has doubled. His grocery bill has doubled. His kids' tuition has gone up, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So talk about that, because the systemization is what's made businesses huge. Whether it's, if we look at McDonald's, okay, they created a system. If we look at Starbucks, they certainly have a system. Yeah. In network marketing, there hasn't really been a system for this before. Mm-hmm. There's been lip service to it. There's been toes in the water, my own included, where I've got, I got a lot of medical friends that are involved in my business. Okay. But there has never been that process, if you will, of systemization. And that's really, I think, what you guys are figuring, what you have figured out and what you want to share with the world.
We took a step back and we analyzed who is successfully working with these people. Pharma reps. Mm. We looked at a multi-trillion, and network marketing is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Pharma is a multi-trillion-dollar industry.
Absolutely.
So we looked at their exact model and said, okay, how are we going to mesh the professionalism and the science of the pharma rep with the love and the heart of the network marketer? That's what this program did. We took those two models and meshed them together so you know how to walk, how to talk, how to present the science. You should be fooled, and it's funny, we almost jokingly say this, you should almost fool the receptionist into thinking you're a pharma rep when you walk in, but then you reveal your heart, your love, and your desire to improve not only the patient's lives, but the doctor's lives. That's what sets you apart. And that's basically everything that we've tied into the system is bring the professionalism of pharma rep, but then turn it into the love and understanding and support of network marketing, mesh those two together. And that's where the glory came in. Honey, go ahead.
I do want to add to that, because what happened in the beginning, John, is that we had signed up a lot of doctors quickly. And we had the systems all kind of piecemeal. So we had put some thought into what the doctors were asking for, what the gyms and medi spas and, all the businesses were looking for. And we had not put it completely on a platform yet where it was all systemized, ready for them to just take it and run with it. And what happened was we enrolled too many businesses. We weren't able to keep up with servicing them. So I actually put the brakes on it at that point and said, wait, stop. Let's take care of what we have coming in and let's systemize this on a platform so that it makes it easy for the reps to go in and really talk from the clinical aspect of things, because that's really what the medical professionals want. And businesses want a system where they know that they're not going to be left with these products on the shelf, like Mel said. That was one of the biggest obstacles. When I walked in and I saw dusty bottles on the shelf, I'm like, okay, this is going to be the thing where they turn it around and say, look, I bought these products and they haven't gone anywhere, right? So now I can come back and say, well, did they have systems in place? And so then I would go through and talk about all of the marketing pieces that we include in this for them to be able to get the products out the door. And so, yeah, it was funny because we really had to put the brakes on, reanalyze, and put this entire system on a platform to make it easy for not only the reps, but for the facility itself to have a turnkey usable system that trained their entire staff on every aspect and the communication and synergy between everybody behind those businesses.
So walk our listeners through that process. So I'm a distributor with XYZ Network Marketing Company, mm-hmm. and my chiropractor that I've been going through for 8 years for my bi-monthly adjustment. He's become kind of a friend. He knows my name. I know his name, right? I know, I wish him Merry Christmas and that kind of thing. But you're not really friends with your doctor, right? In some cases you are, but most of the time we're not. It's a business relationship, but it's a friendly business relationship. Yep. So I go into my, and that could be dentist. I can, once again, folks, interchange whatever you want. But we've all got that guy. Like I got a guy right now I'm working with who is a chiropractor. Okay, mm-hmm. Happens to be my chiropractor, and I'm working with him with our product. What's the step? What's the professional steps though? Because once again, they've got to inventory some product, which takes up some room. Right, which means that there's something else needs to be maybe replaced in the office so that the patient comes in and says, "Hey, what's that? What's behind the desk there?" Right. So there's that issue. They've got to have the staff that obviously is cognizant of what they're doing. So it's not, well, that's the doctor's thing. You got to talk to him or her about it only, right? Because that takes the doctor's time, which, most of these guys are on short leashes. They got 15 minutes with you if you're lucky, and they're on to the next patient, right? And they got to be with insurance to make a living and pay their bills. All those things that go through a distributor like myself's mind as you listen to this. Okay. How have you guys figured that out? What's the steps?
We have 3 professional levels that we actually bring a facility in on. So they really get to choose what they're looking to create behind the walls with the products being included in their services, right? So once we define those 3 professional levels to them and they choose one, now we kind of know going in what that doctor is looking for. If he has no time, or his staff is overworked, or he only has 4 minutes with his patients, or, there's a lot of detail that we pull out of that conversation with the doctor during that first visit that will allow us to come back and say, we have you. We have this all in place for you. And so really they dictate to us that process depending on what level they want to come in at. And as far as products being held or not held in the facility, the only thing we really require, we don't even require inventory if it's one of those doctors that doesn't want to keep inventory in their facility, but we do put a display table up and we identify protocols that match up to the services that facility is, serving people within. So what we would do is look at your product line, see the fit into the services for that particular doctor's office or facility's office. And then we don't start off with everything, right? That's one big mistake because that gets them all confused. We identify the top 3 to 5 protocols that will fit into that facility. And we figure out what is that best process for this particular facility to set them up with it. Mel, did you want to take over and go through a little bit more of the tools?
Yeah, John, your question actually kicked up a couple of thoughts in my head. First and foremost, you said, I've been going to this chiropractor for 8 years. That is one of the, and I'm just going to keep dumping golden secrets on you guys from the book because I can't help myself.
Okay.
The point is, if you've spent 8 years going to a chiropractor, I guarantee you know the parlance of chiropractic, you know the ebb and flow of the office, you know people coming in, you've got that chiropractic vibe. So that's the perfect brand of person for you to work with. We spend a lot of time in this book teaching you how to drill down to yourself to figure out who this perfect person is. If you've been going to the chiropractor for 8 years or 18 years, you are really well equipped to talk to any chiropractor on the planet. So that allows you to have this perfect niche that you already know how to talk to beautifully. Part number two is you raised a couple of objections. We actually have an entire chapter in our book about all the objections we've ever seen walking into doctors' offices. And again, we were door knocking. So, I mean, you want to get objections, door knock on a doctor's door with a no soliciting sign on it. You're going to hear every objection possible. But the beautiful thing is once they're off the table, they fall in love with you because you address them all. So, Concetta addressed the fact that we don't require them to carry inventory. One of the other ninja secrets that we got to you guys are going to learn in the book is we actually teach our doctors to quote unquote recommend the products through a recommendation pad. So even if they don't, so they actually fill their prescription, quote unquote, in the office. Even if they're not carrying inventory, we send that person home with the usage guide. So they're psychologically already using that product because it explains you're going to take 3 of these pills a day. You're going to use this oil at this time. You're going to do this, that, and you're going to apply this to your kid here. So now while they're waiting for the dropship to arrive, they've already psychologically enveloped themselves into using the product. And we've always prescribe, we're not doctors, we don't prescribe anything. We always recommend that they do a 90-day protocol because that's 3 rebills. So everything we do automatically instills rebills for the doctor's office. So I hope that helped to clarify a little bit. Sure. Explain it beautifully, but there's like so many little ninja secrets that I'm fighting to, shut my mouth here.
You don't want to give away the whole book.
To that point, what I wanted to just add is, that gives the doctor, patient, or facility client that open communication in 3 months down the road, because we always have them do a check-in. At that point to see where they're at and what else might be needed. Maybe we need to change up the protocol a little bit. So there's always that communication at the end of those 90 days to see how they're doing, right? And that's really part of the customer service, right? And so just keeping them invested and knowledgeable and have that information so that they feel good about maybe even opening up the door to different protocols now that they've had success with the opening protocol that the doctor recommended.
Interesting. So let's go a couple of things. I think you guys have created, if I'm not mistaken, a conversation hacker, which is software. Yeah. If I'm not mistaken. So let's talk about that a little bit and how, and once again, keep in mind, you're talking to distributors, not corporate people. So how can distributors use these services? They need to know that as well.
Yeah, I'm so glad you raised that because that's actually, we're launching our book. It's coming out in about a month now. I'm not sure when this is going to air, but we're going to be coming out right around the beginning of July. But we're actually doing a little pre-release of the Conversation Hacker tool because we're just so excited because we just can't help but get something out there before the book arrives. So what Conversation Hacker is it's a piece of software that allows you to analyze a small bit of what your prospective clients' conversations are, be it in social media, in email, tweet, whatever it is. You can analyze a little snippet of their conversations and determine exactly what their personality type is. And then it drills down to exactly how to talk to that person. So, everybody in the industry knows the green, red, yellow, whether you're using DISC, whether you're using Ocean, there's several different kinds of companies out there that do this personality thing. We were lucky enough that our tech partner was actually trained. He's a lawyer, so he was trained by the CIA to dictate how people's words, how their body language, how all these things really say who they are, how they buy and what their love language is. So we were able to turn this into a piece of software where if you're going to meet, and again, it's beautiful even if you're not using it in the B2B network. Even if you're going to be walking into Starbucks for a meeting with Jane in 5 minutes, pull out your phone, pull up Conversation Hacker, find Jane's Facebook account, find one of her posts, plug it into Conversation Hacker, and it will spit out exactly what her personality is, what her love language is, how she wants to be sold, how she doesn't want to be sold, and how she's going to get turned off. So this is our way to supercharge your ability to almost close people before you talk to them, because you know precisely what they want to hear to feel comfortable with the conversation. It does way more than there's a million other things it does beyond that. But as far as just the rep goes, this is the way to get the reps comfort and confidence at 100%, because they know precisely before meeting this person. They might know their name and they might know how they look, but all they had to do is just grab a little snippet of words and they'll know exactly how to talk to them. Conversation Hacker also does a placement system. So we have a way of analyzing their personality to determine where on their team they should be placed, so you don't end up with 2 red stacked or 2 yellow stacked. So this is a way to monetize not only your ability to enroll folks, but also how to stack them in your team properly.
Nice. And where can they get this?
Honey?
Right at conversationhacker.com.
Conversationhacker.com. I love the name, by the way.
Yes.
Thank you. That's our little pre-release gift for everybody. We want everybody to figure out, what's going on there. Because again, we've all seen personality training, but always concentrate on your own personality, which is fine. You take your test, you find out who you are, you find out who you should talk to. But what if you knew everybody's personality before you talk to them? Mm-hmm. What if you knew the exact words that somebody wants to hear before they're buying, or even more so, the exact words that turn them off? That's the power of what this does. It allows you to walk in with 100% confidence into every meeting, knowing you're not going to step on your tongue and say the wrong thing to somebody.
Well, I love it.
Just add in there, we used to do this manually a lot with our builders when we were branding them, right? So that we can find that perfect niche based on their strengths and what they were passionate about and all of that. And, we still do that, but now they have that additional piece, because I feel the confidence comes once you build that up, but now they have the persona of the person they're about to go in and talk to. So they're not going to be as nervous. They know that this is a nurturer, right? Or this is a red. They just want to know the basic information, be done, or if it's a blue personality or what we call a peacock personality, they want to be on stage. We don't want to take them off the stage. So there's a lot of great detail in there, so their buying habits before you have that conversation with them.
Nice. So conversationhacker.com, and they can get all the details. So exactly. Folks, make a note of that, because what I love about this, I'm just thinking back years ago, I used to do a lot of videos. I did them corporately for the company I was with. And sometimes you get somebody in front of the camera that was very animated. Like I know Mel is not an animated guy. I know he's kind of shy, kind of demure. Like at a cocktail party, you're never going to find him in the middle of talking to everybody. Obviously I'm kidding, but and I'm the same way. That's why we get along so well. I think about we got very much the same personality. But to that point, I would have people in front of the camera, and sometimes they would clam up. So I would say to the person interviewing them, if I wasn't interviewing, hey, ask Mary about whatever. And I'll never forget, I had this couple, they were bull embryo breeders, okay, up in northern Alberta. And they happened to have been in my network marketing business with me at that time. And I said to the guy, the woman, she just wasn't talking. She was just, and she was normally a very, animated, gifted speaker. It was like that camera's, that light came on. Remember the old days? It's not like Zoom, right? We're just kind of talking like we're in our living rooms. Like that light came on. I was like, uh-oh. And anyway, I said to the guy, I said, ask her how they produce those bull embryos. And she went through the science of it. And all of a sudden, it just broke the ice, where all of a sudden it was like, okay, now let's talk about the multi-level stuff that we actually wanted to record. And we weren't recording that stuff. But she did. In other words, it was a subject she was totally comfortable with, animated about, and it just flowed into the next thing. And we got a great, whatever snippet. I don't remember what we were doing specifically, but 30 years ago. But yeah, to that point, that's what I love about what you guys are talking about with this Conversation Hacker. This is something where if I know who I'm talking to, if I know somebody maybe they hate coffee. Well, I'm not going to meet them at Starbucks, for obvious reasons. Let's meet for a bottle of water somewhere. Let's meet at Whole Foods. It just exactly. As a simple example where I didn't bring somebody where they didn't have comfort, because I want them to be comfortable, because if I want them to do business with me, they got to feel like they can trust me. Not, wow, maybe a guy's an alcoholic. And I say, meet me at the bar for a beer. And the guy shows up and feels, wow, I shouldn't be here, But all of those problems you guys solved with that. So that's great. Let's come back to the B2B though. So is this the software that you guys have developed? Is this something that is only available for the company's level or distributor level?
Oh no, this is for reps. Yeah, we've decided that we want to really, and I don't want to use the term fix, but we want to help this industry as much as we can. We're all old schoolers. We've all seen, it takes new people a long time to get started. We want to alleviate that by, again, conversation hacker, just making them feel more comfortable faster, making the new people feel more comfortable because now they can pick a niche to go into so they feel more comfortable getting started. Having all the science available to them right on their iPad or their phone so they don't have to feel like they need to spend 6 months learning the science of all. I mean, the prior company that we were in had 260 products. Think about how that slows people down. If they feel the need, and a lot of people feel that way, even non-science geeks feel like, oh, I got to know about this whole product thing. What if it was all just on your phone? And you could just go, okay, here's all the science, here's all the products, tell me what's going on with you. Oh, here's your ailment. Here's what the thing recommends. That's what the system does for folks to get them started a little faster. And then more importantly, the retention rate. It's like this is in this industry, there's a 50% first year attrition rate. So that means that half of all people that join are gone the first year. Our number one goal is to cut that attrition rate down because people feel more comfortable. They're having better conversations. They're talking to folks that they actually feel good about, and using the one-to-many model, they're enrolling the high impact, doctors or gyms or personal trainers to get those tens or hundreds of thousands of customers coming in to get the cash flow going faster. So we feel like that's our best way to cut attrition is make them more comfortable, tell them exactly what they can say through technology, and then allowing them to have a lot more customers at a lot faster pace.
And the other thing I would like to add in there, John, is like what you said, people get stage fright, especially if you're going in and now you're responsible to train the staff of a doctor's office or the staff of a med spa, or, that's where they kind of shut down and they don't know those next steps. So this process allows them to really just take the training that we've provided and hand that particular video to the receptionist so she knows exactly what to do, or, to the active advanced trainer that the doctor is going to put in charge of the products, the product manager per se. And we only talk business talk with the finance person. We don't do those conversations with everybody, right? So it really helps to eliminate and activate the synergy of the team because they have a team behind the doors of that business.
Absolutely.
So now we really activate that team, give everybody their parts, and then just allow them to run with it from there. So the marketing piece was I think the win-win when we walked in and said, we do all of this for you. The doctor would sit back and listen differently because now he's not thinking, I don't have time. I barely have time to get my documentation done at the end of the day, right? That's eliminated. There's a bunch of things that we had programmed in there to just make this easy for both the rep going in and for the practice once the product is in.
Okay. So let me ask this, because this is a natural question that I know is going to go through the mind of we got thousands of people who watch this show and they're in all different companies. I mean, I don't cater to my own company. I cater to the industry like you guys are doing when it comes to the show. And I've got my obvious downline in my own business, but I never cross that path. You know what I mean? I respect other people's businesses, which is why I think the show's become successful. But to that point, if I'm in XYZ company, and I think, well, wait a minute. If I walk into my doctor's office and he's selling ABC company's product now, and I'm with XYZ company, how do I say to him, hey, listen, ABC company's got great, great ointments. Okay, great. My company doesn't sell that. That's terrific. I'll even buy some. I'll be a customer. But gee, Doc, you need to also incorporate my product, which does something specific for the whatever. Okay. Talk about that a little bit. Cause that's, once again, these are the kind of things that are going in distributors' heads.
I want to harken back to what I said earlier about the pharma rep thing. Every doctor gets so a doctor might have 4 or 5 different heart medications that they prescribe. And it's because 4 or 5 different pharma reps came in with the science to prove that this one specific medicine works for this one specific thing better than anybody else in the industry. So literally this, like, we are not reinventing the wheel. We're taking a multi-trillion-dollar industry's business model and just converting it to network marketing. So, just because you have, we'll use CBD, perfect example, CBD does some amazing things, but there's a lot of things that it doesn't do as well. So we might have a thing that does the CBD thing too, but we might have a complementary thing for, coughing or sore throat or, pick your ailment. That's where it comes down to really asking the doctor the important questions. And this is like another platinum nugget that I can't wait to share with everybody. The two most important questions you can ask during that doctor's interview is, what is your most common patient complaint? What is your most challenging patient complaint? You hear about those two things, they are basically telling you, these are the products I want you to sell me from your line. So please show me the science as to why I should carry them. It's almost like they're speaking the same language, but in two different dialects. That's what they want to see. And that's what pharma reps do. They present the science as to why my thing is an improvement over what's going on in the industry now. So now think about the network marketing industry. We have the positivity of being, network marketing companies research products more than anybody else. I mean, let's all be honest. The network marketing industry revolves around people buying something more than once. So if your product's a piece of crap, they're only going to buy it once. That means that company's going to fail. The companies that don't have decent rebuilds do not exist. I mean, we all know that. We've seen plenty of them go down the road. And the ones that have amazing products last for a really long time because people are naturally going to keep buying. So we have to have that in place. So network marketing has amazing products. They're going to keep that rebuy going, but that means that they also have the science behind it. So having that science, that's what the doctors want. They want availability of the science, but they don't want to spend the next 10 years learning about it themselves. So that's why our platform is built to really present the science in just one nice, easy place. So the doctor can look up, okay, I'm going to look at this product from this network marketing company. I see it's got all these clinical studies and all these tests and all these university things. Now I feel much better about presenting it to my clients.
So let me go.
Add the service beyond that, John, too. So that's the first part of it. And you were asking, what if there are two similar products? How do you actually win that, right? How do you get that recognition or acknowledgement? It also, they also pay attention to how you're going to show up for them. And so that's the piece that the software really helps individuals with, beyond just the sale of the product.
One of the things I've noticed too, and I've noticed this, I've got friends that are chiropractors that I used to play jujitsu with that are on the other side of town and, from me. And I also notice even with the current chiropractor that, and I'm talking chiropractic a lot, folks, I'm a fan of chiropractic, as you can probably tell. What I've noticed though, there was a time, if I went back 20 years ago, the chiropractor was on this side of the road. The MD was on this side of the road, and the orthopedist was on this side of the road with the MD, right? Because they're MDs. And they didn't talk to each other, for example. And all of a sudden, what's happened over the last, let's call it the last decade, and it's probably happening more now than ever, is that a lot of medical professionals, be they traditional guys, MDs, or more on the holistic side of the chiros, is they've gotten on the same side of the street, so to speak, in terms of, hey, to your point, like with this question, I can't take care of everything. An adjustment is not going to take care of this problem that you have. You need to see Dr. So-and-so. So Dr. So-and-so is going to come in my office one day a week where you'll have availability of him or her at the office here for whatever. And I'll give you a perfect example. I've had stem cell in my shoulder and in my hip this year. I'm about to have it in my back in a couple of weeks. Okay. And, a chiropractor can't do it. He can't do that. He can't give you, he can't give you a stem cell shot. He's not allowed. The law doesn't let him. He's not licensed to do that. So my chiropractor, for example, very clearly is in partnership with an MD, and she comes into his office, and she's actually in offices in 3 different cities here in Texas. And anyway, she comes in once a week, and you book her, and she does the stem cells as an example. And you probably all, once again, the wheels are turning, and you're probably thinking, I'm wondering why my dentist all of a sudden has a relationship with an MD or a chiro, or my chiro's got a relation with an MD, or my MD's got a relationship with the massage therapist down the hall in the same building who says, hey, this is good, but gee, you're under a lot of stress, or you've got this problem or that problem. Go down and see whatever. Anyway, I've used a lot of different examples here, but talk about that a little bit, because medicine has become a collaboration, because we, the consumer, the patient, we have demanded it. And the medical community, I think, has responded in a very, very good way in terms of how they're collaborating. But that's kind of what you guys are doing too, is you're kind of saying, hey, you're missing the nutrition, or you're missing these other elements that your patient is going to go buy somewhere. You might as well get it from Dr. Smith or Dr. Jones or the massage therapist or whomever. So talk about that a little bit.
Well, you made a great point saying 20 years ago, because, that's, again, we talked about, the insurance shifts. So what we're seeing now is, and it's funny, it's kind of our age group is the cutoff point. The older doctors who were conditioned to, pills and knives. It's going to be pills and knives and nothing else. They're I hate to call it this, but it's kind of a dying breed. Mm-hmm. And the reason being is insurance has made it so they're earning less money. So they need to have, what we call in the affiliate marketing thing, joint venture partnerships. That's a joint venture partnership. When you've got a massage therapist that comes into the shop, you've got a doctor that goes into the chiropractor, that's a joint venture partnership where both of them are benefiting monetarily from that relationship. So that had to kick in so much more now. B, chiropractors are much more specialist nowadays. You're going to see there's a lot of them that are just neuro guys. They might have been cracking backs for 20 years. Now all they think about is the neck up. Or, there's a lot of digestive chiropractors. You'll see a million chiropractors out there that now really concentrate on digestion, gut-brain access, all that kind of stuff. So, that's a big move. And the last part of it that's really solidified in our minds is that doctors have TVs too. And we've all seen drug ads. So it's a drug ad where, the first 5 seconds is what the drug does. The rest of the 25 seconds is all the side effects. So halfway through, you forget what the drug actually does. You just know about the side effects. But then the next commercial that comes up is a lawyer with a class action suit against some drug. So doctors have TVs, guys. Doctors know that there's a very unhealthy thing going on with the pharmaceutical industry, and they don't want to have their patients look at them like they're part of this machine. We're all and again, it's kind of our age group. Anybody older than us, they're kind of conditioned to, do what the doctor says. They're the pro, everything else. Most of the folks younger from us question everything now, which is fantastic. And that's led them down this path to have to really change the way they think of these things and, adapt, Eastern medicine, adapt having these joint venture partnerships. It's been this beautiful change. And again, every one of these guys has a TV, or girls. They see these terrible drug ads. They see these lawsuits going on. They don't want to be part of that or even related to it. You know what I mean?
Well, it's funny that you say that, because my medical doctor referred me to my acupuncturist as a perfect example, and said, hey, with something that I have going on in my body, okay, they said, to your point, ancient Chinese medicine, okay, ancient Indian medicine, okay, wherever acupuncture really started, it's debatable, that 10,000-year-old thing, right? Okay, and both cultures kind of claim it, and whatever it is, okay, I'm a fan of it, okay, but my point is, it was my medical doctor who gave me his acupuncturist, which is how I started to take acupuncture. And by the way, it's helped. Okay. Or I wouldn't be spending the money, because insurance doesn't cover a lot of these things that we're talking about. Bingo. Right. But to that point, and to the other point too, we forget sometimes, right? Because our parents held the doctor up as God.
Yes, correct.
We don't. The doctor's a man or a woman with an opinion. Okay. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, okay, that doctor's got a medical issue going on, that he or she's got somebody that they go, hey, go see my friend so-and-so. They can probably help you out. So it's changed, I think, in a really good and healthy way, versus what it used to be, very, one lane highway, so to speak. So, but let's come back to this. I want to talk a little bit more about how you can help these people grow their distributorships in their respective companies. Okay. By getting more business with their professional friends, contacts, or, people in their neighborhood, maybe that they don't know that they want to know. Let's talk about that first approach, because we kind of hit, I think, on the doc that we know. What about the doc that's down the street? We pass his office every day. We have no idea who he is. We're not a patient. How do we walk in there and start to build that relationship so that we at least can get an audience with him, her, office manager, somebody that at least can have that influence to say, hey, maybe we ought to have a further conversation?
So John, to that question, what I want to start off by saying is, first, you're very right. It's become more of a community that takes care of patients and clients today. And so people are doing referral processes, and that's part of what we call our duplication process. So we call it doctors of duplication. And right after 60 days of being in there and training their staff and getting everything flowing in harmony and all of that, we go to the doctor or the facility and say, okay, let's look at what's surrounding you here in the community, and who would you be able to belly up with and do referral processes back and forth with? And who would you want us to go and cookie cut this process with and bring the products into their facility? You just give the recommendation, you give the testimonials that come back from your clients and patients, and then you turn us over to them, and then we'll cookie cut everything here for you. So it might be a chiropractor referring, like you said. A lot of chiropractors work with CrossFit gyms. And, when you start to open up that whole cycle of who are your demographics going to outside of your facility already, and how can we work together to build optimal health for patients and clients. So we get them thinking down the road of who they want to partner up with next. And this is how the doctor actually builds their network marketing part of their business or the facility. So you're right, community is referring to doctor. And the other thing I think that we're finding is 70% of families that are going in the more holistic states. There are some that are still in the mid-range, but 70% of those families are looking for holistic options. So this is why I feel doctors and just any kind of medical or health treatment facility is really on board with the holistic approach, because the demand is there. And they're losing them out the door if they don't provide them with a solution in that capacity. So they're actually digging deeper now to see who they can partner up with, not only for the network marketing business, but it takes it right into the services of what they do, right? Let's match up and start this referral process back and forth with other medical professionals or other facilities, be it, a gym and a chiro, or a gym or a massage therapist, a chiro and a gym, right? What matches up? And so we get them thinking along those lines. Does that answer your question?
It does. And it makes a lot of logical sense too. It's kind of like when you see a gym, all of a sudden you'll see a place that sells protein shakes near there. You know what I mean? Like or a juice bar near there if there's not one in the gym. And then you'll see all of a sudden the Massage Envy pops up, down the street, or similar franchise like that, a Hand and Stone, for example. And it's all like, gee, how come these are all together? Well, because that, to your point, that community, us, right? People who are health conscious, we're going, well, okay, the chiropractor's here. I'm going to work out before, I'm going to get a protein shake there, and then I'm going to go see the doctor there, it all kind of, somebody's figured it all out. I know like the franchise locator people, I know they figured that out a long time ago. Like, you put things that are synonymous or synergistic rather with each other, not competitive, in the same area. So people have access. They don't have to drive, So let's come back to one other thing though. Okay. Let's talk about the book. Now, we're going to air this show July 24th, folks. Okay. As most of you know, my shows are pre-recorded for a lot of reasons, because a lot of stuff can go wrong when you record anything, as we know. So your book should be out early July, correct? How did they get it? Where did they get it?
7figurenetwork.com. So the number 7, the word figure, network.com. I wish we had the book to show you, but it's still in the editor. So I can't physically hold a book for you guys. I wish I could, because I'd love to have you actually be able to see it. But yeah, 7figurenetwork.com is going to give you access to the book. And we go through, everything that we've talked about today, John, this is just like a little drop in the bucket, because we want to have action steps in there. Just to tell you, it's kind of, Concetta and I kind of joke about this. It's actually a 300-page book, which is a textbook by network marketing standards. It's just a big, thick book, because again, it's all about the action steps, and we broke it into thirds. So that's one thing that I want everybody to understand, is that we broke it into thirds. So your first third of the book is all between your ears. Let's get you in the right mindset, who you need to be, what you need to think about, the faith you have in your company, exactly what kind of doctors are perfect for you. Then we go into the branding aspect. And that's something that Concetta's just been a genius at ever since we joined this thing, is, really branding people to what they've done in their lives before that. So not like Coca-Cola manufactures a brand. A real brand comes from inside out, guys. A real brand is not something you just put on a sticker and call it a brand. A brand starts inside of you. So we're going to determine what's going on inside of you that's going to make it the perfect brand. That brand represents who you should be going to, be it a spa, gym, salon, chiropractor, cardiothoracic surgeon, if your kid's broken their arm 10 times, osteopath, talk to the people that you already speak their language. That makes this whole thing easier. The middle third of the book is the actual transaction going on within the doctor's office. And again, I'm using doctors as an example to make my life easy, but how to talk to the receptionist. One of our favorite chapters, how to make the receptionist fall in love with you to the point they want to introduce you to the doctor. Getting them to try the product themselves, getting them to make the right introduction to the doctor. Then we talk about the doctor's meeting, all the process from, getting the enrollment done. That final third is all about training the staff and giving the doctor all the tools they need for success. So we didn't want you to just get to that point where you got the enrollment. Now you're popping corks and you're waving pom-poms and life is amazing. All the good stuff happens after that paperwork goes to the company and the doctor actually gets that first order. That's where success comes into play. And they're going to need all their marketing materials, and they're going to need, more importantly than anything else, staff training. You present your offer to a doctor and don't have training in place to take the weight off of their shoulders, you're going to be one of those dusty bottle people. That's who dusty bottle people are, is the people who give doctors, here's your product, good luck. That invents dusty bottles. If you give them a path where the only thing they have to do is write a recommendation and the staff knows how to do everything else, that's how to make your system work in a professional environment, clinically, ethically, and professionally.
Boy, there's so much meat on the bone there, because I notice in most of the practices that I'm in as a patient. Okay, I'm 61, and Mel knows my sports background. I've heard everything on my body, so I've got teams of people that work on me: chiropractors, stem cell people, MD. I got them all. And but I noticed you made a couple of points here that I want to really bring out. Every one of these docs is supported by a team. Mm-hmm. And you've got to respect that team, because they're going to do most of the selling, because the doc's got to be on to the next patient, because insurance pays him or her to see X amount of patients per day, per week, per month. Otherwise, they can't make a living. They can't be in business. Okay. The medicine is a business, right? No matter holistic or traditional. So keep that in mind. Respect those people, because that's probably 9 out of 10 times who you're going to be interfacing with. You go into the office, whether it's for a delivery, for a new sales aid, a piece of literature, et cetera. Mm-hmm. But there's one other thing I want to point out. I love both of your response to this, is that I believe that there's roughly, I don't know if the numbers are right, there's supposedly 12 million people in network marketing here in North America, the United States and Canada. Mm-hmm. And let's assume that that's true for a minute. Okay. And majority of those people, as we know, are part-time. But how many people would like to be in network marketing that have that background, be it as a pharma rep, be it as some other kind of professional type of selling that they were in, maybe high ticket, maybe they sold aircraft, maybe they sold high level cars, maybe they sold something where they look at network marketing, they come to your meeting or my meeting and they go, oh, circles, bells, whistles, hype, da-da-da-da-da-da. And I know none of you guys ever sell hype in network marketing, but anyway, and I never do, of course. But at the end of the day, they go, that is not for me, man. That isn't like, but if you gave that person a path where that person says, especially let's say somebody that is, Mel, our age, right? Somebody who's getting up there late 50s, 60s. Maybe they retired early. Maybe they're retired military. A lot of retired military people out there, right? A lot of people retiring from the military for a variety of reasons right now. They're professional. They're well-spoken. They know how to dress properly. They know how to speak to people, right? Et cetera, et cetera. And they're still young enough where they go, man, I don't want to sit around and, watch TV all day and go to the VA. I want to do something. So whatever that person is, whatever that profile is, there's that type of guy or gal out there that will resonate, I believe, with what Mel and Concetta are talking about, that say, hey, that's also daytime business. Maybe they say, hey, I want to be out from 10 o'clock in the morning till 4 in the afternoon. And after that, I want to go to the gym. or I want to go home and watch my favorite TV show, or I want to have dinner with my spouse, or I want to have dinner with my grandkids. I don't want to be going to meetings at night and Zoom calls and all the other stuff that you and I do in network marketing. But boy, they can build a business. What if they got one good contact a week that comes in any of those practices? Talk about that, guys, because to me, this is a whole nother paradigm shift of who we can also talk to that can go out and be the boots on the ground to call on all of these different, healthcare professionals.
Yeah. If I may, I want to start just because I love the fact you used military folks as an example, because who else on the world runs their entire lives around a system? If you're in the military, every second of your life is based in a system. So that's perfect. I mean, who would be the more perfect person for a system like this than a military person whose entire life has, again, it could be for 4 years or 20 years, depending on how long they're in for. Their entire life has been systematized. If you can't present them with a perfect system, they ain't going to look at you twice. They're just going to write you right off. And the other example you use, which is so beautiful, is people want to be during business hours. We operate during business hours with this model, pure and simple. We're not going to doctors' houses at 9 o'clock at night. We're not meeting at Starbucks at 8 o'clock in the evening. We're going during business hours. So again, everything we've done to dictate this system is to bring real business models into network marketing. And when I say real business, I mean the real systems that allow you to have the success and the backup, but then it still allows you to have the heart. That's one of the reasons why we love this thing so much and why we love sharing our products, because we know it helps. So you can still be that helpful, beautiful soul that fell in love with network marketing in the first place, but now you can have systems in place to make it so you know exactly every day who you should be talking to, how you should be talking to them. And if you want to be home with the kids at 5 o'clock, perfect, because most doctors' offices are closed at 5 o'clock. If you're going to have a gym meeting, you got to have it at 1 p.m. because that's when nobody's there. You need to have your meetings when the business is slow, and you can have these beautiful, long conversations. Concetta and I joke all the time. We tell a doctor when we're coming, okay, we only need 15 minutes of your time, and they're still asking us questions 45 minutes later if we allowed them that bracket within their day. If we showed up and they got 5 patients waiting on them, you're getting 5 minutes. If you hit them at lunch, they're gonna be going. Now the receptionist is coming and yelling at them because they haven't ended the meeting yet because we use their entire lunch hour. So being strategic, that's what these potential builders are going to do for you in this day. And I'm talking about today. I'm talking about the gig economy. I'm talking about the Great Resignation. I'm talking the fact that there's hundreds of millions of people right now looking for something else to do that have never looked at network marketing before because it was circles and lines and lists of 100. Now that there's a way to make this a real business model, it just makes more sense.
Yeah, agreed. So let's do this. Let me do one quick thing here because I don't want to get in trouble with my wife because she's tougher than I am. So here's what I got to do. Okay, folks, if you haven't watched our show before, because we always have new audiences, guys, which you're going to love. And this show is going to attract a lot of new audience, by the way. So my book's called Moving Up 2020. Okay, Amazon bestseller, and Leave Nothing to Chance. Okay, that's the name of the show, Leaving Nothing to Chance. Available in English and Spanish, and you can get them on Amazon. Okay, so let's come back to you guys. Okay.
Concetta, you didn't get it. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Concetta, you want?
It's okay. I want to take a little bit of a different approach to that last question. And first off, congratulations on those books. I'm interested myself, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
I wanted to tell the moms that may be listening that want to still stay in the mom-to-mom build-out mode, what has happened and what the systems did for them is really it boosted their confidence, their conversations, and it made a better connection between themselves and the clients that they are interested in serving. And it really gave them follow-up systems and everything just in the way that we're doing network marketing today, right? And so moms became confident. They would take the system, learn it, go down that path with it, still mom to mom. But then what started happening is they started to get comfortable with that. And when they started to get comfortable with that, then they felt comfortable walking into a juice bar and putting products in there, into a salon or a spa or a mini spa, things that are a little bit more holistic approach, maybe not the medical community right out of the gate. And the other thing that I want to address as a career woman myself, coming into this industry, at month 3, I was asked to speak on stage. And I remember saying to myself, I don't really know how to work with a volunteer army of people. And and stick with my goals and my deadlines and really have something where I can look to where I know that 6 months down the road, I'm going to be able to hit my goals. And bringing the systems in changed that. It was like we were all now sitting down, creating a business plan using the system and identifying where we wanted to be 3, 6, 9, and 12 months from now. So we were working more in uniform with each other as a team because we had those, those conversations and allowed them to really put a path forward that they felt comfortable with. It doesn't mean everybody has to run, but once we knew their pace, we were able to build a business plan around that pace, whether they wanted to do 2 or 4 hours a week, or they wanted to jump in 10 or 40 hours a week. There is a plan in place for them, just like the doctors with the different professional levels. So it kind of opened that door for the transitioning women and men that wanted to leave the career and create. We didn't tell them leave your job right away, but where do we want to go? And when do you want to identify that time where you want to leave your job, right? And let's make a goal and a plan to get there. So that's kind of, how we brought in the more professional arenas. And obviously men were part of that transition because they saw and identified a business plan behind it. Because that was my problem in the beginning. I was like, there's no business plan. I don't know how I'm going to get from point A to point B. So for any of you that are planners, that's, we do have that in place for you.
I love all of those points. And the other point is, just like the military person, how many of the moms drop the kids off at 8:00? They don't have to be home till 3. And they say, hey, let me go off and this direction today. And there's, this doctor, this juice bar, this, Pilates club. And let me hit those 3 things between 8 and 11. And I still have the afternoon to do what I have to do on mom time and still be available to pick up the kids for soccer practice. Right. So, once again, folks, what Mel and Concetta are creating here are B2B strategies that make so much business sense for so many people, not only the person reselling the product that we're talking about, but also the person getting that person to do that. So don't lose sight of it. These are 2 very, very valuable sides of our business that can grow your network marketing business where you currently are. And what I love about this too is, they don't have to leave their community to do this. I mean, they go right, they go down any street, they've got 15, 20 that they might not even realize are there. Mm-hmm. Right? Just open your eyes, ride your bicycle down the street or whatever and go, hey, wait a minute. I didn't know there was a chiropractor on that corner. I didn't know there was a massage therapist. I didn't know there was an Ayurvedic physician. Wow. It's incredible. So great. So guys, I'm going to give you the last word and Concetta, I'm going to let you go first, ladies first, but I also know Mel. So,
Well, thank you. I'll take it. Thank you, John.
You know what I mean?
I want to thank you first off. You're on the same page as us, and that's what I love. You've built your business out with business sense behind it, and you have your own systems in place for your team, and that's a beautiful thing. But there are a lot of teams out there that are just sort of amorphously placed where they may not have that upline that can give them the direction. And in the way the economy is right now, my heart goes out to so many people that maybe just need to make a car payment that their income right now is not covering very well, right? So the beauty of this business is you can take it from, as slow as the pace, as slow as you would want to go to as quickly as you would want to build. And you get to dictate a lot of that along the way. But now you have a little bit more hand holding in the processes and identifying, those core values that you have, right? And we build a brand around all of that to really just get you out there to be able to develop or, hit the path of your choice, because it really is your choice. Remember, this is your business. It's always going to be your business. You get to make the choices behind the walls. And these are just those added tools to simplify it and give you direction and clarity along the way. And so I would leave off with that.
Well, thank you so much. And a lot of information here, folks. So listen to this podcast as many times as you need to and take notes. Mel?
Just want to say that if you've reached the point where you're thinking about quitting, if you're through your warm leads, if you don't feel like, your either company's system for building or the 78-year-old model that network marketing revolves around, if that's just kind of feeling like you're sitting flat, just take a step back and think about, who have I dealt with in my life that I know that has a base of customers that are dying for my product? So that's one of the things that's been, Concetta and I have always had a hard time with in this industry. Obviously, we love the industry because we've been doing it for a long time. But the fact that folks realize that once they're out of their friends and family warm market, they just don't know what to do. That's that exciting moment. That's when your moment is to launch your business, because you're going to look in the mirror. You're going to determine, who do I know that has a bunch of people that are perfect for my client? That's who I need to enroll. I need high impact enrollments that have access to hundreds, if not thousands of people who literally pay and wait in line to get my product. I don't need to be pestering people that don't want it. I don't need to ask a million people that I'm not sure if they need it or not. There are so many people in the world right now that go to professionals for help about a product you have. Take advantage of that, because you have to serve those folks. They are not being served right now without your product. It's almost selfish of you not to offer this to the people you know that you can help with it. And that's going to start with the medical and health community. Excuse me. These are folks that are trying to move their lives forward and asking for help from a professional. Help that professional to serve their clients, get their money back in place, and make their lives better. You will have a partnership like you can't believe. That's when reps become friends. That's when partnerships become a lifelong thing, when you're supporting these professionals in their move to feed their kids and make the world a better place.
Great. Well, guys, this has been a pleasure and a lot of information. So 7figurenetwork.com. By the time the show airs, book should be out. Okay. And anything can happen, as we know with publishing. Okay. But it should be out. And even if it's not, make a note of it. Get this book. All right. Because it's going to help you to expand your business. Okay. Everything we do on this show is to help you to expand your business. This is a whole different genre that we're talking about today, but it's a very, very exciting one. It's one that I know I get very, very excited. Every time I talk to these guys, I get excited because there's so many ideas, but this is a path that you can pursue. And this is a path, once again, if you're thinking about your recruiting properly, maybe you say, hey, I don't want to call on any of those people. That's not my thing. I like to operate my business a certain way. Terrific. But if you talk to that person, whether it's the mom, Concetta was talking about, whether it's the military person, perhaps early retired that Mel and I were talking about, whether it's somebody else, maybe a coach who quit coaching because of the stress of coaching at a high level, perhaps. Okay, they know a lot of people, right? But they're probably not going to do network marketing like you and I want them to. Meet them where they are. That's what this system is about, is meeting people where they are so they could do what they want to do in their business with their time. So really, guys, congratulations. Can't wait to read the book.
Can't wait to get you a signed copy.
Can't wait. I can't wait. And believe me, we're going to apply a lot of it because I'm working in this area, folks. I don't mind just kind of wrapping up here and saying I'm working in this area. I've got a number of people in the medical world that I'm working with because of the nature of our product. If you're one of my distributors, you know what I sell. And if you're not, you probably know what I sell anyway. And it's very technical, okay, as a product, okay? Well, some doctors like that. Some doctors, frankly, don't. But at the end of the day, all these rules apply because here's what I do know. Any street that I go down in Richardson, Texas, where I live, there's 15 or 20 of them that I've never met. Mm-hmm. I don't know which one's going to be receptive, okay, or which ones. Okay, so anyway, hey, guys, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
So much, John.
Thanks.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Leave Nothing to Chance. If you want to know more about what it takes to succeed in the network marketing space, join us again next week for another amazing episode. For additional resources and to connect with John Solleder, visit leavingnothingtochance.com. Don't forget to leave a review, and we'll see you next time.